There is a written statement I'll be reading from, so if folks want to have that, you can have access to that later. It's also here. There is no longer any controversy. Leading British historical and legal agencies, and none other than French President Emmanuel Macron, have equally and recently asserted colonialism was and is a crime against humanity. As such, United Nations protocols empower all peoples and parties to act with the, quote, responsibility to prevent genocide and the, quote, responsibility to protect. It is not so useful in the case of the Cameroons or Ambazonia to spend time debating who is most at fault. Is it the government in Yaoundé or the man Paul Biya, who has been president since I was 19 years old, the longest ruling leader in the world? Is it the original French colonists who, along with their British counterparts, set up this competitive, divided we fall scramble way back when? Is it the UN in failing to oversee the promises made decades ago? Perhaps it's the children of Ambazonia who, frustrated at increasing police and military violence and little to show for decades of completely nonviolent and unarmed actions against their colonial predicament, pick up some stones to defend themselves just over the past year. There is enough guilt to go around, and we say again, it is not so useful to spend time debating who is most at fault. The UN mandated responsibility to protect and the responsibility to prevent genocide, equally, especially in cases of contemporary ongoing colonialism, is the responsibility of all of us. It is certainly the responsibility of the United Nations member states, with an emphasis on those who currently make up the Human Rights Council, which soon meets in Geneva. But it is also the responsibility of non-governmental organizations, organizations like the International Peace Research Association, with consultative status with ECOSOC. And yes, it's the responsibility of media as well, to remember that even conflicts which appear small in places which are not easily found on maps require our urgent attention and solidarity. We need only reflect on the upcoming 25th anniversary of the Rwandan genocide and the ongoing tensions in the Great Lakes region to be clear about that. I represent a UNESCO-affiliated organization of scholars, academics, researchers, and students from roughly 100 countries in every region of the world. We, of all people, know that the information is neither inaccessible nor in doubt. Despite sometimes misleading reports from even the most reputable and well-known agencies in the human rights field, it is not too difficult to ascertain who is most at risk and who is mostly armed in the northwestern corner between Cameroon and Nigeria. Despite recent news that the U.S. will suspend security assistance to Cameroon because of its poor human rights record, we must not be overjoyed or lulled into a sense of false accomplishment. Our colleague, Adotai Akwe, Amnesty International's deputy director here in the United States, noted yesterday, quote, Cameroonian security forces have indiscriminately killed, arrested, and tortured people, firing on crowds, displacing thousands of civilians, and destroying entire villages with impunity, close quote. Until all that has come to a complete end, calls like this one to the UNHRC, which we sign on to today, are vital in both accumulating incontrovertible information to share with the World Forum and in stemming the tide of violence, at least in the short term. In the long run, we repeat, colonialism was, and in Ambazonia today, colonialism still is a crime against humanity. Until colonialism is ended, our work will not be complete. Thank you.
We will be delivering the letter to the UN later today. We want the United Nations Human Rights Commission to act during its 40th session, which convenes on February 25th. And I think the way Reverend Dr. Emma put it is perfect. We call on them to embrace a sense of urgency with regards to this situation. Lives are being lost on a daily basis.
Thank you, Amy. So now we will open the floor for questions. Sure, go ahead.
Thanks for doing this press conference.
Thank you for coming.
Can you tell me how you see the situation developing on the ground, what your main concerns are, what's happening in this part of Cameroon? And then also, besides this letter, have you reached out to any of the member states of the Human Rights Council on an individual basis, and what kind of feedback have you gotten?
Yeah, so to the first question, the development of the situation in the ground, what seems to be happening is what one journalist aptly described as in the local newspaper called The Voice, that there's no community that is untouched. So the government has simply escalated the level of indiscriminate killing. On the one hand, people escape from their villages that are burned to go hide in the bush in the hope that the army can stay away. The army will hunt people down in the bushes. People who are seen in the bushes are killed, and the army says, oh, these are the people who are fighting the so-called armed separatists. On the other hand, people who run to bigger cities and try to hide in homes, they would be very unlucky, because we have a lot of homes where whole neighborhoods, the army break in and people are shot dead in their homes, not in small numbers but in huge numbers. Then there is the issue of the senseless killing of women and children. So it seems this, from our point of view in the movement, the escalation and the indiscriminate shooting. You have priests being shot at the pulpit, not because soldiers come into their church, but just because soldiers are walking across the street and firing bullets as they go on trucks. We have video after video of soldiers